November 5th, on the undercard of Dimitri Bivol versus Ramirez, we get Rakhimov versus Barrett. Now, look, this is a fight that's probably flying under the radar for the vast majority of people, but I think it's going to be a good one. Barrett was a late replacement. Originally, this was supposed to be Rakhimov versus Cordina, but I'm not mad at this one, man. Look, Rakhimov is ranked like number 3 at 130 pounds by Ring Magazine, which is a credible ranking in my opinion. Barrett isn't. So in that regard, I think, it'd be easy to look at it and think that it was going to be a mismatch. And in some ways, you may look at it and think that it will be. I don't necessarily feel that way about it. Let me break it down. So hold on a second. But you do see that he isn't ranked in the top 10 according to Ring Magazine. I get different ranking organizations are going to have things differently. I don't want to go into the legitimacy or the corruptness of all the different ranking organizations and the belts and all of this stuff in boxing, man. Just look at the skills of the fighters, right? So look at this one for a second. I think this is a classic situation where styles make fights. We've got Barrett, and the dude is just a boxer, man, through and through, right? Just in a lot of ways, you could call him a pure boxer. Every fight that you watch him, for the most part, what he wants to do, provided he's not dragged into something else, but what he wants to do is box from the outside. He's got really good footwork. He's really quick. He wants to get in on the outside. You're going to see this dude constantly circling the ring, not running, but staying just at that distance where he needs to, where he wants to make his opponent miss. He wants to be able to constantly control work with the jab. Pretty busy jab, but wants to control distance and range with that jab. Wants to control the pace and the rhythm of the fight with it. And then he wants to slip in right hands. He wants to step inside and work hard to the body, particularly with that left hook. And when he's on point, man, when he's working hard, he looks really good, right? I think his biggest fight is the one with Kiko Martinez, right? One of the things about him, the sense that the reason you don't know him, never came over here and fought in America. Everything was over in the UK. But his biggest fight over there was with Kiko Martinez, and I think that's telling, and it's a good fight to bring up in relation to this fight for a few reasons. And number one is he was really on point that fight in the way that he was able to constantly stay on the outside. He was able to dictate with that jab. He was able to step in and land hard shots, but he also wasn't able to control it from start to finish. The scorecards were a little bit controversial. A few people spoke up on that. Nevertheless, I think they chose the right man. The right man got his hand raised at the end, even if the scorecards were a little wide, according to a couple of the judges. But he got caught. He wasn't able to control the whole fight. And Kiko Martinez was, he was moving up in weight. He was a significantly smaller man. But the way he applied the pressure, the way he tried to come in, the way he was able to be crafty as a veteran and land some of those shots, I think it's interesting. Because that's what we're going to see here from Rakhimov. Now, Rakhimov is going to do it way different. He's not undersized for the division. He's not at a significant reach disadvantage, so it's going to be easier in that regard. He's not going to have to be reckless and come forward. Now, he used to be reckless, right? He wouldn't necessarily have to be to reach his opponent here, but he used to get off balance. He used to come forward too much. Think about the fight with Fuzili. Looked a little bit chaotic at times. He's a little bit off balance. He's reaching on shots. He's getting his upper body out of position and getting caught with things. Compare that to the fight with Jojo Diaz. That was his biggest fight over here with Jojo Diaz 2 fights ago. Right before that, it was basically like every fight I think was over in Russia or something along those lines, right? Some Eastern Europe, something like that. But he comes over here, he fights Jojo Diaz. Biggest fight. Jojo Diaz, we all know him, misses weight for the fight. Very skilled fighter. He looked good, man. He looked good. He won that fight legitimately. Now, did he take some punishment? Yeah, but Jojo Diaz is skilled, man. He knows how to get that left hand off. He knows how to catch and counter. He knows how to use that shoulder roll and throw back from a lot of different positions. He's very accurate with the left hand. So he was able to catch Rakhimov. And look, Rakhimov is no defensive guru. No one's going to mistake him for Pernell Whitaker. No one's going to mistake him for Floyd Mayweather. Nobody's going out there and picking up their defensive techniques by studying old Rakhimov films. It's just not the way it looks. He's a guy who likes to come forward. He's a guy who likes to be aggressive, relentless, durable, throws a lot of punches, high stamina. He wants to come in there and just break opponents down, but he knows how to be in the right positions as well, right? He started working with Freddie Roach prior to that Jojo Diaz fight, and I'm telling you, man, just in that one fight, you go back and you look at those 2 fights. They were back-to-back. Fuzili, Jojo Diaz, and I'm telling you, just going back and looking at those 2 fights, the little bit of time, what was it, maybe like 6 months he had been working with Freddie Roach prior to that fight with Jojo Diaz, and you already saw a major difference. You saw it in his spacing, his distance, his pacing. You saw it in the way that he didn't get off balance. You saw it from where he threw his shots off, and he's got quick hands, so he was able to get inside, but not smother his work too much. He was able to not open himself up to counter punches as much. Overall, just huge improvements. Very good. He had one little nothing fight in between now and then. So now we're getting this one with Barrett. I think he's going to look really good, man. I think he's going to come out with the victory here. I think he's going to find ways to cut the ring off. I think when Barrett tries to step in with those body shots, Rakimov's going to have something for him. I think he's going to be able to find ways to counter that jab. We saw, look, timing beats speed. And that's just a saying. I'm sitting here, I'm telling it to you, much more difficult to do it in the ring against a man who is fast, but nevertheless, it's the truth. Timing beats speed. We saw Rakhimov pick up some good timing-based shots by the third, fourth round against Jojo Diaz. Barrett isn't Jojo Diaz. I think he's going to become predictable. I think Rakhimov is going to find ways to counter that jab, take it away to a certain degree. I think it's going to send Barrett on his bike around the ring even more, but Rakhimov will be able to cut him down. I think he's going to be able to go to the body well and try to slow him down. So I think Rakhimov comes out with the victory on this one. Let me know what you guys think of I wish I had more film on both of these guys. Ultimately, that's not the situation, is what it is, but let me know what you guys think. Am I overestimating what Rakhimov brings to the table? Am I missing a little bit of something? You know, again, I know he used to get off balance a lot. I know he used to put himself out of position a lot. But I think by working with Freddie Roach, what we saw in the Jojo Diaz fight is more indicative of what we're going to see in the future. A man who's a little bit more disciplined and schooled versus the chaoticness of the energy that he brought. And I just think Barrett styles make fights, man, being on his bike. He's not going to control with that jab. Not going to work out well. Rakhimov gets his hand raised. Let me know what you guys think.